Yeah, Jay, this is Mark, WA1EXA. I'm just at my cousin's house in Connecticut, so I figured I'd check in from his station. So that's why you had the other call. But it's WA1EXA here.
QSL. Mark QSL. Well, I'm glad to see you have additional family in your hands. Wonderful. Little distortion on the transmission, but readable. And thank you for taking the time or being away to check in. I understand. I think you mentioned Connecticut. So we're here. I'm feeling like PY2BBQ. I'm operating on two computers at one time. And Hilton is always so gracious about doing all these recordings. Mark, thanks again for filling in for me for net control. Are you going to be back at your home station next Saturday?
I expect to be back on Monday. That's my expectation.
Thank you, Mark. I'm going to be running a Zoom session with Steve before and after next week. And I might need a little help. I'm actually going to be on the road. I'm going to be traveling with a friend from Gainesville over to St. Petersburg to the Dolly Museum there, having a Van Gogh exhibition through the 15th. So we're going my volume's doing. I'm using a Ambi stick today, and I can increase the gain on the mic if we need to. I don't want to overdrive and distort. Okay, Andrew, what do you think? How was that? Let me do the D-star with the right mic. Andrew, what do you think of the drive on my audio now? Yeah, let me try to get it down here a little bit. WJAD, how does this sound to you? A4FL.
Well, it seems just slightly high. Not a lot, but very, very low. I'd say, I wouldn't minus maybe 3 decibels a gain. You'll probably be fine.
QRZ, is there a net on this frequency?
WA3QWA. Hey, Mark. Good morning. Thanks for checking in. We're just starting the net. I assume you're copying us. I'm going to check you in. We're here at the top of the hour. This is the Marco Digital Voice Net that meets weekly on the Quadnet Array at 1500 UTC. This is JAA4FL Net Control. Glad to have everyone with us. We will have check-ins here in a minute. Just a little bit of housekeeping information. Drop one. Again, the Marco Digital Voice Net meets weekly, generally for about an hour. Sometimes we run a little bit over that. Do realize that you're using the Quadnet Array, and we're doing transcoding, so you can come in with all different modalities. With your D-Star, your DMR, Yaesu Fusion. We have K3FZT that's with us during the net and did a pre-net technical support group, and he will be available next week before the net, also at 14:30. We'll have Zoom information distributed via our Google group. Drop one. Since we are on the Quadnet Array, make sure to wait a moment between transmissions, let everything sync up, all the different computers. We're doing transcoding here, all the different systems. And don't tail others, give them a chance to transmit as well. If you're using an Ambi stick like I am, also make sure to remember to go toggle it off the transmission mode when you're through with your transmission. AA4FL, I'm letting it drop one. This is a directed net with net control. We have myself, K3FCT, KE0RUZ, WA1EXA, TY2BVQ, M4TSC, WJ8B, WA3QWA. Checked in so far for the net. Are there any check-ins that are of an emergency nature with traffic for the net? Go ahead and make your call at this time.
Hey, Jay, this is WA3QW. How's my audio sound? I'm coming to you via DudeStar. Having a problem with my code plug on my radio.
Are here on limited time today. Are there any other stations that have limited time for being on the net? Go ahead and check in now, and I'll acknowledge you and appropriately listen for you at roundtables with flexibility. Go ahead and make your call.
November 3, India, Mike.
Oh, thank you, Keith. Good to have you here this morning. November 3, India, Mike. Keith, are you on limited time today, or are you going to be around for the whole night, just so I know when it comes to your position in the roundtable discussions? Over. N3IM. You were there and dropped. Keith, are you still available? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm on, put me on limited time because I'm going to be listening to the net, but I'm going to be doing some things around the house. So, this is N3IM, back to AA4FL.
Okay, thank you for coming in, Keith. And when we get to the round table, if I don't see you there and you're doing a project, I'll understand why. Catch you on the next go around. I do thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure having you on board. You offer such great input, and certainly when it comes to Marco, there's much historical wisdom that you're always in for. Thank you. Are there any regular check-ins now? Individuals that have not already checked in, go ahead and make your call. This is AA4FL.
N9 OML, November 9, Oscar, Mike Lima.
N5 RTF.
Well, thank you, Howard. Thank you, Chip, for checking in. N9 OML and N5 RTF. Are there any other stations for check-in for the Marco Digital Voice Net? Don't have to be a Marco member. All are encouraged to check in, and if you do so, we'll give you a chance to be involved in the roundtable discussions. Make your call now, AA4FL.
Whiskey 2 Juliet Lima Delta W2 Juliet Lima Delta.
Thank you for checking in, John. W2 Juliet Lima Delta. Nice to have you on board today. Again, this is the Marco Digital Voice Net, and we're accepting check-ins from members, friends. Everyone's welcome, of course, to listen. But we will have discussion here, and we may even talk about some of the topics in our recently released newsletter, the Ether, our publication, which just came out a few days ago and is now online. Any other check-ins? Go ahead and make your call now. Other check-ins? Go ahead and make your call now. Well, thank you. We have 12 check-ins. Nice turnout. Hopefully we'll have Stephen and myself while we do the net here. That link was distributed in the Google group email this week. If you're not a Google group listserv member, make sure to sign up. So thank you, Stephen. Stephen, would you like to make a presentation to the group? Go ahead.
Good morning, JAA4FL and the net. This is K3FZT, Steve in Northwest section of Philadelphia. So, here am I trying to be helpful for newer and perhaps less practiced users of digital voice modes. And I have about 10 months of digital voice experience, first on DMR and more recently Fusion, and then finally in the last few weeks a little bit of D-Star. And I am just blown away by the capabilities of these tools to connect me with people all over the planet. Of course, mostly in the U.S., but it's just been fantastic. My old ears, even assisted by hearing aids or
my Heil Pro 7 headphones have nothing on the clarity of digital voice modes. And great conversations with Australians, New Zealanders, Japanese hams. Not too many South Americans yet, Hilton. But it's been a lot of fun for me. So by all means, let me know if you have friends or colleagues who would like to get on Digital Voice, and I know wait one. I know all of you here will be happy to help those people, but if another perspective or set of experiences could be useful, by all means, connect us up, and I'd be happy to engage. These technologies are
Lost him there.
K3FZT AA4FL net control. Thank you very much, Steve, and the astute observations and the power and the usefulness of the modes is amazing, staggering. Next week, I was mentioning to Mark before Ned at check-in WA1EXA, who's filled in his net control. When I'm not available, I'll be on the road next week, and I'm going to try to do everything from my car on the drive from Gainesville to St. Pete, and asked if he'd be there to help. I'll also be running a Zoom session, so while this will be done between a hotspot and cell phone coverage and the Zoom on the applicable devices in the car using cell phone data. So, yeah, it's amazing what one can do. Drop one. I want to remind everyone in Marco that really the granddaddy of our nets and actually the core activity of the Medical Amateur Radio Council is grand rounds on the air. And when Chip gets to his place in the discussion here, M5RTF, he's chairing a committee to see how to bolster that net and add in a few more technologies to make it more useful for individuals that are limited in their ability to participate due to propagation or otherwise or facility. So that's an ongoing discussion. This net is just supplementary. This is somewhat social during COVID here. It's towards the drift to that discussion, and be on board. That being said, we're going to continue here going down our list for anyone that would like to make a presentation. If you have any questions about the content in the Ether publication and stuff, let me know. KE0RUZ. Chad, go ahead and take the mic. Okay. Chad mentioned he'd be in and out. WA1EXA, Mark, are you available now to say hello?
I'm here, WA1EXA. You know you're not coming through DMR at all. We switched over to T-Star. Just wanted to let you know that, and that's why a lot of people probably are not coming back. So I'm going to send it back to you now before we really talk.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I'm not sure why, if there's a transcoding problem. I think we had a few people checking in on DMR. Keith and 3IM, are you in here on DMR? Go ahead.
AA4FL N3IM. No, I'm on YSF2 DMR, so I guess that takes me through DMR on Grandmeister 30121 or something like that. Back to net control.
Okay, well, there may be some technical issues. Maybe there's a few individuals that aren't checking in. Will let us know. We'd like to think we have all the technology solved, but there's so many places where the issue could be. But we do appreciate any reports that point us in that direction. Mark, do you have any other comments for the net WA1EXA? Go ahead.
Yeah, no, WA1EXA. Here. We just checked. EMR's back on again. So it must be going off and on. Anyway, so now that we got that cleared up, we say hello to everybody from, right now I'm in East Haddam, Connecticut, which is on the Connecticut River, and in the southern part of Connecticut, central southern. And we're going through my cousin's computer here, using Blue DV, he says, which I don't really understand, but that's okay. It's been fairly great out here. I can tell you the weather's been rainy for the past few days on the Cape. And now today it's almost 80 degrees here in Connecticut. So we're hoping to have a very nice day. The COVID thing is really down below below 1%. Last time I saw it, the positivity rate was down to like 0.6 or 0.4. And so that's about it. I mean, everything is open. Our restrictions have been lifted pretty much everywhere. Some people still wearing masks, some people not. And we're moving along. So I'll give it back to you and tell me how I'm doing here. WA1EXA.
Mark, everything sounded great, and kudos to John because he got the Blue DV just right. No distortion on the audio, or certainly a nice clear audio. I'm using Blue DV as well, John. Question, John, being N1ID. ID for a particular reason as a call? Over.
Yeah, this is N1ID. Yeah, way back, I got my license. Actually, Mark and I got a license the same time. We're going to be 56 years of him on July 7th. I know this was dated. And I was just getting out of 8th grade then. But I was WA1EXE at the time. So a friend of mine in Elmer used to do a lot with W1ID. And when I got my extra, he had died, but it wasn't available. And at that time I did a lot of CW. And K1ID was available. So I said, well, I give some honor to the guy that taught me a lot, and I'll get a nice, easy call sign. Got it?
Well, AA4FL, thank you for making the net available for Mark through your equipment, and congratulations on the 56 years. And the reason why I asked ID is an infectious disease. So didn't know if you were an ID doctor. So that happens here a lot on the AmericaNet with reality calls. Look at Keith, M3 Internal Medicine. So, yeah, you didn't know it, but you're an infectious disease ham. So thank you for being with us. I'm going to give you a chance for one more comment before I move on to the next person. AA4FL for WA1EXA and N1ID. Okay, thank you very much for both of you joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and also check in John so he can officially be a participant in the net. PY2, BBQ, or MVP. Please go ahead, Hilton.
Okay.
AA4FL and the group. This is PY2BBQ Hilton from São Paulo. It's nice, good to have you back, Jay, for controlling the net, and nice to have the net back this Saturday as well. I'm transmitting through a local repeater. I connected my handheld radio, a Linko DJ-MD5, to the external J-pole antenna, and I'm going through a repeater that is about 10 miles away from my QTH. So I hope you're receiving fine. Decided not to transmit through the Blue DV because of the YouTube transmission, and some weeks ago we had troubles with that. So let's start it. Wait one. Okay, regarding the situation of COVID-19 here in Brazil, what we see is a decrease of the new case numbers and the number of deaths as well as the vaccinations go on. Unfortunately, it's not as quick as we needed, but it is really starting to control the disease. We, regarding the vaccination, we had already given 72 million doses of the vaccine, so about 25 million people received the 2 doses of the vaccines, either the CoronaVac vaccine from China or the AstraZeneca's vaccine. Some people are also receiving the Pfizer's, and others are coming. Only 12% of the population received both doses. The 25% I said received at least 1 dose of the vaccine. So we still have a long way to go. But considering the picture we had a few weeks ago, things are much better now. We have still consistently like 30,000 new cases daily and about 1,000 deaths daily. It is 1/4 of what we had seen a few weeks ago. Wait one. PY2BBQ returning. Another important issue I would like to discuss with you is a study that was made in my state in a city called Serrana. It's a small town in São Paulo state where 95% of the population was quickly, in a few days, was submitted to vaccination as a study program. And what was seen is that after 75% of the population vaccinated, the disease was very well controlled, and not completely controlled, but it decreased very much to a very well manageable number. The same has been seen in Chile, and the neighbor country, where they are using the same kind of vaccine, the CoronaVac from China, and they are achieving the same number, that with at least 75% of the population fully vaccinated, we will have the control of the pandemics. That's interesting because it is a populational study that was held here. And, well, okay, so that's the picture here in Brazil. Back to the net control, A4FL, PY2BBQ.
Thank you very much for sharing that success be propagated as the rest of the population gets their 2 doses. And if you wouldn't mind, on the Google group, as a follow-up to the Ether of June, the publication, since that study is recent, if you wouldn't mind offering a summary of that, because we really haven't flown much on those 2 available vaccines, the Chinese vaccine and the AstraZeneca. And if you would let individuals know that there is a study, I assume it's in Portuguese. So even if the study is not presented, at least summarize the study to the Google group as a follow-up in addition to what's in the ether. That would be very much appreciated. And thanks again to you and to Chip, M5RTF, for making the net available in an archive fashion on both YouTube and on audio server. And hats off to both of you and your volunteerism. And I know, Hilton, we talked about looking in the ether to see there was some recognition, and Chip, same for you. We appreciate all you do and expressed it in print in this edition of the ether. Let it drop one. Jerry, N4TSC, if your HD is cooperating, go ahead and take the mic.
Okay, thank you, Jay. I hope you can copy me. I couldn't copy anything from Hilton. Every time he would say a word, it would cut out and recycle, and then cut out and recycle, and I kept trying to disconnect and come back. I had no control at all. Couldn't hear anything. There's something between what Hilton is doing and what his connections are, and I can't even find it at the moment. I can't even find a backup on the web. Stand by one. So if you're still dropping me, I do have a few comments. Steve was talking about how wonderful digital is, and yesterday I was in contact with a francophone group with people scattered all over the world, from Reunion Island to Corsica to Canada to metropolitan France. And I was posing a question to them that nobody could answer, so I'll have to still do some research about the lexicography of the language, the lexicon. I thought it was argot, but it's probably a medical terminology that I was looking for. Stand by one.
Live it. Again, it seems to be on our HD end. Jerry, are you back and rebooted N4TSC? Go ahead.
Big question is as to whether the origin of this COVID is a zoonotic origin, or whether it's an escape from the lab in Wuhan, China, as they were trying to enhance the efficacy of the infection itself in doing their research. We don't know that, so that is a subject for further conversation. And I don't suppose there is anyone out there that would be able to answer the question I have about the terminology that I was looking for, so we'll pass on that, and we'll turn it back to you, Jay. So back to net control. This is N4TS.
WA3GW.
Okay, WA3GWA, you're recognized. Go ahead.
Yeah, N4TSC. What was the terminology? I speak French. Over.
Yeah, that's real good. Maybe you will know it, because I thought it was argot, but it turns out it's probably a medical terminology. But the terminology is tenisme et pont, and perhaps I was mispronouncing it, and it may be tenisme et epont. But that's what I was looking for. Back to you.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure. You're breaking up a little bit. You've got my email. Send me an email how the words are spelled, and I'll get back to you on it. It wasn't. What was the first one again? Over.
The first word, each word I understand independently. It's the combination that I didn't quite understand. The first is tenisma. It's the equivalent of Latin tenismus. I understand that. But I thought the term was emprunt, which means borrow in French. But it turns out that it may be épreunt. And I thought it was a combination of the terms that have particular meaning. Individually, I can understand what it means. Back to you, N4TSC.
Okay, and you think it's a medical term or is it an idiom? Over.
Yeah, the latest, as we're coning down on what it means, is I suspect it's a medical terminology, like tenismus is clear in medical terminology in English or in French. But the second term, emprunt or épreunt, and the fitting of the two of them together, and I suspect I understand what it means, but I'm looking for confirmation. Back to you.
Okay, it's not the word entente, is it, or is it étente?
Negative. It is what I thought I had heard when I knew when I had heard it originally was emprunt, which means to borrow, but that's not what it means. It's épreunt or épreunt, EPREINTS. I suspect is the orthography, the spelling. Not 100% sure, but I'm going to need to do a little bit further research on it. Back to you.
Yeah, if you can send me the spelling, I can look it up for you. I've got a bunch of French dictionaries here. I've even got an Alsace-Lorraine dictionary somewhere around. Very interesting. Where was this francophone group? Over.
The group is a Friday afternoon for us in North America, but a Friday evening group that begins at about 8 o'clock European time, and it's run by a fellow who is in the French Pyrenees, and he mentioned that there's an HF contest going on, and he's going to be at the top of the mountain between, I guess, around Andorra or Biarritz today, operating on that particular group. But anyway, if you give me your call and your email, I'll give you the connection. Over.
Okay, yeah, I don't give out my email, but you can look me up on QRZ. Hopefully the ARRL has linked. I just got an ARRL email, which is wa3qwa@arrl.net. They were supposed to link that up with my regular email. So if not, I think you sent me an email before, and I think I've got that. All right, let me throw it back to Net Control. AA4FL, the group WA3QWA.
Okay, thank you for turning it back to Net Control. And Jerry, I thank you for mentioning the issue of the origins, and we haven't addressed that recently here. Maybe that's a good topic for next week if everyone would look into that and see what. But I guess we got 90 days, according to the government, to report back. So it'll be an ongoing conversation. But thank you for bringing that up. Next, WJ8B, Andrew, go ahead.
Well, good morning, everybody on that. Those of us in the Eastern Time Zone, although not a lot of morning left here. I've been absent a little bit, did some traveling, visited my family in the Washington, D.C. area, my little son, and 2 grandsons and daughter-in-law there last weekend. Had a good time. Went to see a Nationals baseball game on which they lost, but we still had a good time. It was a little on the cool side. Lots of cicadas there. Very, very noisy. But it was a good thing. So, as far as COVID here in Ohio, it is continuing to get better. Our governor had the wisdom of offering 5 $1 million jackpots for those 18 and older, and those for under 18 a full ride college scholarship to any of the state assisted schools. So, and that seems to improve things a little bit. I'm sure it could still be better, and we're not over 70% yet, of course. So, but the numbers do continue to drop. So, and hopefully, COVID won't be a topic of interest for much longer. So that would be fantastic. So that's all I have for the net this morning. So I'll give it back to you, Jay, from WJK.
Thank you very much, Andrew. I guess we all remember all the focus during the early years of AIDS and how that discussion calmed down. It's always going to be an ongoing discussion, but it will be at a much lower level. And yes, here in the United States, it seems that the worst is over, but not necessarily uniformly across the country. So let's see what happens if perhaps other states can be as incentivized as Ohio and convince younger people to take the vaccine, give them a reason for taking it. That seems to be a novel approach for a novel virus. So thank you for reporting that. Always participation is appreciated, Andrew. WA3QWA, Mark, how about taking the mic now? Go ahead.
Very fine, Jay. Jay, thanks for putting me into the newsletter for the IERPN that gets the word out. I haven't had much time to devote to it, but we're working on a couple of things. I did get a hold of my friend in Australia, Hemsey, trying to rouse him up, the Sri Lankan ham, who became well known for his communications with ambulance service in Sri Lanka, which I think might have been sponsored through Medishare. I can't remember. By the way, I'm coming to you today via DudeStar. I've got a technical problem here. I don't know if anybody can help me out. I recently upgraded the software, the loading software, for my Anytone 578. Well, it wiped out my code plug. I've been trying to get a hold of those guys at Bridgecom. They're very difficult to reach. I was going to call my friend Jerry out in California, who also sells the Anytone, but he's been very busy lately. So I'm wondering if anybody knows how to take an older code plug, which I still had on my computer, and load it back on. It won't let me do it. I think you have to convert it to something and then convert it back. So if anybody knows how to do that, please let me know. It's an Anytone 578. I forget. I've got the latest software. I've got the latest firmware, but it still won't let me upload the older code plug. If anybody knows anything about it, greatly appreciate it. WA3QWA.
May have some immune protection, but it was concerning. Apparently NIH and NIAID do not recommend testing those patients for immune response at this time, as there's no particular thing to do with that data, and they felt the more important thing was to get widespread public vaccination. The academic doc pointed out that the trials conducted, the original clinical trials, excluded patients on immunosuppressive drugs or medication therapies, so it was sort of an unknown area. A further problem with her research was they excluded Medicare patients, so she expressed that it may be a larger than maybe previously thought group of people who may not be getting the protection from the vaccine that some people thought they would, and how important it will be then to have widespread vaccination, essentially to protect these people by preventing spread from others. So I found the whole thing interesting and would be curious if any of you have any comments on it. I hope I summarized it reasonably, and I know I'm out back to that control.
Jay, did I drop out?
AA4, so Mark, you were in and dropped. Howard, I do have a comment because we have seen a patient, not me personally, but heard it through the patient, who was in between being diagnosed for leukemia had the first dose of the vaccine right before and the second after and did not show antibodies. So had seen a case of that, heard of a case of that. And it'd be interesting to see the follow-ups to those studies. If you'd like to share that on our Google listserv, if you're a member of our listserv, feel free to. Otherwise, you can email it to me and I'll share it with the listserv and you might yours at call AA4FL. I'm going to go ahead and ask now, just from a net control standpoint, are there any others that would like to make a comment to Howard's report? And if you do, go ahead and give me a list rather than making the comments now. I'll make a list and call on you in order. Go ahead and make your call to me now, letting me know if you're interested in commenting on that. No, nothing at this time from anyone else, Howard, but thank you. There in the ether, there was a link to a study about antibodies post vaccination and whether or not it was significant. I think it was from the CDC, so it's probably a different study, but somewhat related. And if you have access to the June issue of the Ether, which of course is on the Medical Amateur Radio Council website, you might find some interest in that article. I'm going to let it drop one here. Before we move on with the, and I've been remiss in asking for late check-ins. Are there any other late check-ins from the Medical Amateur Radio Council? That if so, go ahead and make your call now.
Jay, I got a technical question for the net. I think I timed out.
Who's recording the net and streaming it on audio is Chip, N5 RTF. Chip, why don't you go ahead and take the mic?
Jay, are you copying me? WA3QWA.
Okay, for the moment, Chip did not come back. Mark, we are copying you now. We weren't before. Did you have a comment to N9OML's report of the study? Go ahead.
No, Jay, I had a technical question. I wonder if anybody out there has an Anytone radio. I just did the recent update and it wiped out my code plug. I've got an old code plug, but it doesn't seem to want to load. I wonder if anybody else has had this problem. Over.
Okay, this is AA4FL Net Control. I'm going to go ahead and take a list now if anyone would like to make a comment to Mark's query, and then we have another individual that needs his chance at the round table. But go ahead, I'll make a list for individuals that might have some input for Mark. Make your call now.
WKA.
WAEXA and 1ID has experience with that.
K3FZT.
Okay, Mark, we have three individuals. Are you capable, WA3QWA, are you capable of doing Zoom? Go ahead.
Not right now. I'm on an old laptop here. That would be hard to do. Yeah, just quickly, if anybody has any suggestions, I can't get a hold of the gentleman that I've bought this from, the Data, whatever they're called out in Missouri. They never return phone calls, so Bridgecom, that's it. So if anybody has any suggestions, it wiped out my code plug, the update. So what does anybody suggest? How do I update an old code plug? Over?
if Chip is back. N5 RTF, have you returned? Are you available to make a presentation now? Go ahead.
AA4FL and the net. This is N5RTF. Jay, can you hear me?
QSO, before I didn't, but you're coming in just fine now, Chip, and I was acknowledging you as, the MVP, the number 2 who does the recordings, the Marco Audio Net stream. We do appreciate that. And,
Well, thank you. It doesn't take that much effort. I'm reaching the net on my DMR handheld, but I'm recording off of D-Star on Blue DV and streaming on my laptop across the room. So I'm really accessing the net 2 different ways right now. Not much to report. One comment that I will make, my mother had her 92nd birthday last Sunday. 3 days later, she was hospitalized, not with COVID. She never caught it and was immunized, but just a urinary tract infection and an impaction. The point is that while we focus on COVID, all of the other illnesses that we've been treating all of our lives are still marching right along without any let up. N5RTF.
sorry to hear that, Chip. I hope there's a quick recovery, and thank you for pointing that out. And we have no shortage of diseases to treat, and the focus seems to have shifted away where we're very tunnel visions, but now we're back on track, and the full attention will be given. In the ether, there were the articles about the excess deaths, and we still hear that. I hear that every day, people talking about it in public, that people are dying, and it's not really COVID, it's other things. So what are you going to do? The diseases are there, COVID's a part, people are weakened with what they die of. There's all kinds of disorders that are obviously affected by it. The excess deaths are excess deaths. The difference in the factor, of course, is COVID, but on their own, even when people are uninfected, the diseases do travel on, as I can personally attest to, because I'm fighting one of those problems right now. And thank you always, Chip. This is Net Control, AA4FL, the Marco Medical Amateur Radio Council. W2JLD. Would you like to make a presentation? Go ahead. Okay, well, we had John W2GLD with us. Perhaps he stepped away for a second. Are there any chance right now for just a moment? We'll come back up the list for any additional discussions. But we did have a question from Mark about Anytone WA3QWA. So if you acknowledge that you're still here, Mark, we've got 3 individuals that wanted to offer you some input. Are you still with us, WA3QWA?
Yeah, that's Roger, Jay. Go ahead.
K3FZT.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stephen. We can't really make a presentation to Mark if he's not here, so that's why I asked first to make sure that he was not having technical difficulties at the moment with that old laptop. One more time, WA3QWA, if you're still here, let us know so we can have individuals offer input to you. Go ahead and confirm your presence. This is AA4FL.
Okay, I'm hearing you, Jay, and I'm hearing the other station. The station, I think, in Philadelphia. Go ahead.
Okay, nothing heard. So, if you would contact him. He said he had an ARL.net address. It should forward to his email. And if you can't get a hold of Mark, just let me know and I'll put you in touch with him. This is AA4FL. Thank you for offering to make input available on the Anytone code plug for WA3QWA. So we do appreciate that from N1ID, WA1, GXA, N3, FZT, and anyone else that had that offered. Thank you very much. Going back to the top of the list, I'm not sure if you're short-term and you needed to go, Stephen. K3FZT, go ahead.
Thanks for getting back to me. The Anytone problems are well known, well documented on the Bridgecom website, and but I won't bore the rest of the net with the details. I do have to leave in 3 minutes, and I just wanted to thank everyone for the diversity of the discussion today. COVID is important, and the political ramifications of the possibility that it was developed in a lab, and I want to emphasize the possibility is obviously of concern. There's a nice piece in Bloomberg News that I just saw that discusses that. Very good. Thanks for running the net, Jay. This is a wonderful time for me to get with colleagues in these conversations. This is K3FCT. I'll be clear and QS1 to a Zoom webinar. K3FCT, clear. 73, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stephen. Thank you for doing the Zoom session for those needing technical support, and I know you'll be available next week. I'll be around for any questions on Zoom after the net closes. Steve's got to run, but he'll pick it up again next week. And we do appreciate him offering his expertise to others. 7-3, have a great week, Steve. KE0RUC, Chad, go ahead. Okay, Chad was in and out.
Okay, there we are. I just wanted to make WA1EXA here. I want to make a comment that Mark was on, when he did not come back, we were monitoring him on DMR. So the link wasn't connected, so he's still there. And I'm assuming he's still listening. As far as any comments I have, we've had some reports also in the Boston area with the people that have immune suppressant. So it's being seen in lots of places, and I know also there's some work being done in with children up at the Boston Children's Hospital. So anyway, other than that, I will be around next week, like I said. So I'll be happy to take over the net, and if you're there, then you can come on and take over from me. WA173 to everybody, WA1EXA.
Thank you very much, Mark, and always, again, much appreciated being the other net control for the net. Thank you for graciously offering to do that. Hilton, PY2BBQ. Let's hear from you again here.
Okay, Jay. And the last, this is BY2BBQ Hilton from São Paulo, Brazil. Just have a few last comments for today's net. Everything worked very fine, unless I could notice that sometimes one could not listen to the order while the rest of the group could. I saw that Gerald could not copy me in the beginning, and then Mark several times tried to ask for help, and not every time he was copied by the others and by you, Jay. Sometimes you asked if he was there. He answered that he was there, but you couldn't copy him. Well, but it worked really fine today, considering all the challenges of put three different protocols together in the QuadNet array. Regarding the Serena study, yes, I'll do a summary of it for the Ether, and as soon as possible, I'll send to you. Okay? I would like to say 73s, everybody, and see you next Saturday here in the digital voice net. This is BY2BBQ, back to the net control A4FL.
Thank you, Hilton, and thanks for clarifying the situation with Mark. We do pretty well here with the QuadNet array, and sometimes there's hiccups in technology, and they revisit the server on occasion to work on problems. So perhaps one of the administrators listening in and be aware of the issue. I usually use the DMRHD and one HerdMark, so but I'm using a DV stick today. I mean a stick, yeah, on the USB stick on G-Star coming in that way myself today, and apparently wasn't hearing some of those transmissions. Thank you once again for everything you do, Hilton, for recording the net. Have a wonderful week, and we'll look forward to listening to the recording. Jerry, M4TSC, are you still with us? Go ahead.
Yeah, N4 TSC returning. First of all, it's only with Hilton that the TYT keeps cycling and shutting off and turning back on again. So we'll have to try to figure out what the issue is there, and I will have to listen to the audio recording to find out what he said and determine if there's anything of value there. Stand by one. And I did hear Mark and Steve regularly when you were not able to hear them, so that's an issue that we'll have to address. And if you will indulge me for just a moment, I will read 2 sentences for Mark. Stand by one. I did some research after our last discussion, and I discovered in the Wikipedia French version an explanation that may help. Mark, I hope this helps because I think we found the solution. Let me read these 2 sentences. First, un ténisme est une tension douloureuse dans la région de l'anus ou de la vessie avec sensation de brûlure et envie constante d'aller à selle ou d'uriner. Le ténisme s'est différencié des épreintes qui sont coliques violentes qui précèdent les évacuations de les inflammations de gros intestins. Alors, anyway, I hope that that's helpful. I think we found the answer to my question, and it's also interesting that we have the report that everybody still has illnesses regardless of whether they're COVID or not.
AA4FL seems to drop there, Jerry. Thank you for coming back. But it seems like we lost your transmission there, so perhaps you're rebooting. WJAB, Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, the only comments I have were to help with technical issues. Quadnet has two separate systems for DMR. One is via Brandmeister, which I think is 31012. And that may not be correct, but it's through Brandmeister. They actually have two Brandmeister groups that are connected to the Quadnet array with all three modes. Sometimes problems occur with Brandmeister, and they have little control over that. And so that's something to keep in mind. They also have a separate server, an IPCSC2 server, and that requires switching servers within your hotspot or BlueDB or whatever you're using to access the net. And sometimes you can't do those via a repeater, so that's something that may not be available outside on an actual repeater. But occasionally one will work and the other one won't, and occasionally it's vice versa. So they have more trouble with the Brandmeister than they do their own server because they can't fix all the Brandmeister issues. Brandmeister has to fix those, whereas the other one they have direct access to. So I heard everybody quite well on my BlueDB except WA3QWA. There were several times when he was trying to get back. I heard nothing. So everybody otherwise sounds good. It's good to hear everybody on the net, and we hope to hear you all next week. Back to you, Jay, from WJB.
AA4FL. Yeah, thank you very much for reminding us of that, Andrew. So, that's not a Quadnet technical issue. Brandmeister itself does have some technical issues. And I guess, of course, they've explained that to us before. So DMR can be an issue at times in the option. Of course, Hilton's coming in through a repeater. So to use that other server, circumvent some of that. But hopefully that's not an ongoing issue because when it works well, Brandmeister. And that's what I use when I'm using my HT. Thanks again for participating, Andrew. Have a great week. WA3QWA, Mark, let's see if we can hear you now. Go ahead. Okay, Mark, we're not getting you through the system if you're there, but thank you for participating. N3IM, Keith, go ahead.
Yeah, this is N3IM with AA4FL and the net. I've been able to hear everybody quite well, and like I said, I'm using a System Fusion radio with YSF to DMR through the Brandmeister network. So I don't know whether the DMR link with Quadnet array is having some sort of problem, but everybody's been coming through here fine. So I also sent out a email to the Marco group about the fact that it seems that most of the breakthrough infections are occurring within a time frame of the second shot in 14 days, and it seems like that's when most of the breakthroughs are occurring. This is N3IM with the group back to AA4FL.
Keith, thank you for your report. And I know you're busy today, multitasking. We appreciate your involvement. It's always good talking to you. Have a great week. N9OML, your turn tonight.
N9OML here. Yeah, the story that I commented on for you. I did not see the actual scientific papers, but rather a news story about them. So hopefully the data was that I repeated was at least an accurate representation of what they said. Obviously, it's of great importance to the immune-compromised or immunosuppressed patients, but the doc in the academic study expressed some concern about given the exclusion of the Medicare folks and the exclusion in the original clinical trials of anybody immunosuppressed, just how significant that may be to the overall vaccination efforts, and those patients are probably making up a pretty key demographic of people that need to be protected. On our other topic, unfortunately, I just went through my deleted items and cannot find it, but I'm pretty sure Bridgecom Systems put a video out yesterday regarding issues with old and new code plugs on the Anytone radios. So if that affected the station wants to take a look at Bridgecom Systems, I'm pretty sure they have a video that's right on track with the issue he was describing. And I know I'm out back to net control. I hope everyone has a good weekend.
Yes, you as well, too, Howard. Have a wonderful weekend and weekend. We do appreciate your involvement, your participation. It's good having you on board. N5RTF, Chuck.
Okay. Yeah, I think a good net this morning. Very, very interesting. I counted 13. If that's the formal count, I'll present that tomorrow at Grand Rounds as part of our net count for the week. And right now, everything seems pretty good. So everybody have a good week, and I'll wait to sign off. N5RTF.
Thank you, Jeff. And just as a point of information, I was at W4DFU 3-4 days ago and took photographs of the facilities for you as a potential net location. So I'll go ahead and put a document together with photographs and explanations and see if you want to explore an understanding with the University of Florida to allow that to happen for Marco's use. Even the potential for WV5D to be hosted there. So I think we got 3 or 4 of our members who are affiliated with the university, and then we have friends of Marco that are there too that aren't members. We'll talk more about that later as maybe part of a solution, not an overall solution issue. Do your Grand Rounds review. Thank you, Jeff. Look for that email. I'll try to work on that today. AA4FL, that control for the Marco digital voice net. We're getting towards the end here. We're going to be calling it to a close momentarily. W2JLD. John, are you with us? Go ahead. Okay, nothing. Are there any other stations that would like to check in and acknowledge your presence before we bring the net to a close? We're going to actually move to a Zoom session if anyone has technical questions, and that link was distributed in our listserv, our Google listserv. But are there any other stations that would like to check in? Go ahead and make your call. AA4FL. Okay, nothing further. Before bringing the net to the close, are there any other existing check-in stations that would like to make a closing comment? Go ahead and call, and I'll make a list for your comments. Go ahead. Okay, I take that as an affirmation of it's time to close the net. Thank you for Quadnet Ray once again for allowing us the technical ability to not have a Tower of Babel and communicate with each other through your transcoding and all the volunteers that make that system work well. And in spite of some of the issues that pop up every now and then, they're unrelated but the effective performance, for example, the Brandmeister issue. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful week, 7-3, and we look forward to talking to you next week. If you have any technical questions, you can pop over to Zoom. If you don't have the link and want to pop over to the Zoom session, email me at my QRZ address. I'll be there for 10 or 15 minutes. I can respond with that Zoom link, and I'm going to go ahead now and close the net and go QRT in terms of transmission and move over to Zoom. This is AA4, Net Control for the Marco Digital Voice Net. See everyone next week. We'll have a technical session again at 14:30. The 1500 net next Saturday. 7-3 all. Returning the frequency back, or the system back to QuadNet array for general amateur radio use. 7-3 all. AA4 clear.